Recreational use.
1 week ago, the clouds were a harbinger of all the water that we'd pick up. Now, perhaps protecting us from the heat. We'll have the latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
And the Alabama fugitive is back in custody, and the woman who helped him escape is dead. We'll have the latest.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Missouri lawmakers axe a proposed constitutional amendment that would have given parents more control on the topic of race and racism in the classroom. This is KOAM News at Noon. I'm Tanya Bach. Topping our first 7 minutes, the fight over control in the classroom. Some Republicans argued the legislation should be enacted through state law, not the Constitution. Critics say parents already have the right to control their children's education by homeschooling, but supporters say while it would give parents more right to direct the direction of the race topic, it had a provision that would still protect a teacher's ability to have a conversation in the class that might be upsetting. Well, voters in the fall may get to legalize adult marijuana use and change the way elections in Missouri are conducted. Both initiatives proposing amendments to the Missouri Constitution were submitted yesterday and could appear on the November 8th ballot. One would allow adults aged 21 and older to buy and grow marijuana for personal use. The other measure would allow ranked choice voting, which would get rid of separate partisan primary elections. Well, if you voted for warmer temps, here you go. Michael Azup joins us for the first look.
However, I tell you what, location, because we're going to talk a little bit about cloud cover and what a difference it makes. Because our 2 tower cams that we utilize specifically outside the mothership and 7th and Range Line are going to show you just about what feels like overcast skies. And what that does almost causes a cooling effect right in this area where our temperatures really haven't budged much since post sunrise. Now, if you get to the clearer areas, look, Chanute's already up to 85. We had cooler temperatures this morning in Monette and Cassville that have already now bumped up a good 10 degrees. Stockton is chiming in at 86. And once again, not only the combination of the south wind, but when we talked about where those warmer temperatures are, look at how that is reflective upon where our cloud cover is as well. So we talked about the possibility of maybe breaking a record at Joplin Regional Airport. Well, I tell you what, the clouds are really going to slow us down. We knew in Chanute it was going to take quite a warm up because the Chanute record is 94, and we did not anticipate getting anywhere close to that. But this is a little trail of cloud cover that actually stretches almost down to the Gulf right there, works its way up past the Red River. No precipitation though. That is the positive aspect of it because we still have some flood warnings in effect that we'll catch up on here in just a little bit. We are gradually going to clear off. Those places in the central will see some sunshine later on. Tanya, coming up here in a bit, let's also talk about humidity because 2 of the 3 key factors we've talked about. Warmer temps, high winds. Why are we not spawning red flag warnings or wind advisories?
I want to know.
I will have an answer for you.
All right, thank you, Michael. Well, the search continues for a bank robbery suspect in Joplin. It happened shortly after 10 a.m. yesterday at the Great Southern Bank on South Range Line. Police say the robber threatened the teller by saying he had a weapon. He left with an undisclosed amount of cash. No one was hurt. JPD released this image of the bank robber from surveillance video. If you have any information, you're asked to contact police. A nearly 2-week manhunt for an Alabama inmate and the corrections official accused of helping him escape comes to an end. Police cornered Casey White and Vicky White after a 15-minute car chase in Evansville, Indiana on Monday. Casey White, who was serving a sentence for attempted murder, surrendered. Authorities say Vicky White shot herself and later died from her injury. Chris Davis sat down with the U.S. Marshal Service deputy who helped lead the investigation.
Casey quickly surrendered, and his immediate words to our team is please help my wife. She just shot herself in the head.
U.S. Marshals say there is no evidence Casey and Vicky White were ever married, but their capture brings a stunning end to a manhunt that captivated the country for nearly 2 weeks. Law enforcement collided with their 3rd getaway car, a gray Cadillac in Evansville, Indiana.
There's several tragedies, to this story, the way this escape ended, but also too, it stings that somebody entrusted with what she was given as a correctional officer planned, organized, and facilitated this escape.
Vicky White died in the hospital hours later. It all started on April 29th. Authorities say this surveillance video shows Officer White leading the inmate to her patrol car outside the jail in Lauderdale County, Alabama. Police say they ditched it for this 2007 Ford Edge, which she allegedly bought under an alias. It was found abandoned in Tennessee last week. A tip led the Marshal Service to release these images, surveillance photos of a man they believe to be Casey White at an Evansville car wash last Tuesday. They say he abandoned that vehicle, a 2006 Ford F-150, there.
Visiting with the car wash owner and some additional surveillance footage that led us to believe that they were in this gray Cadillac.
They found it at a nearby hotel where Vicky White was spotted wearing a wig as she left with Casey White Monday. That discovery turned into a 15-minute chase that culminated in their capture. Nearly 300 miles from the jail, they fled together. Back in Alabama, Lauderdale County Sheriff Rick Singleton made this promise about Casey White.
He's not getting out of this jail again. I'll assure you that.
For Casey White, he is expected to face capital murder charges down in Alabama sometime next month. For Vicky's death, it poses a question we may never have the answer to. How does a suspected murderer with a criminal past convince a corrections director in good standing to help him escape? Chris Davis, CBS News, Evansville, Indiana.
Well, Casey White was serving a prison sentence for attempted murder at the time of his escape. He was also awaiting trial in the stabbing death of a woman during a 2015 burglary. President Biden attempts to ease fears over inflation in a speech to America this morning. The president referred to inflation as the nation's top economic challenge, blaming the twin challenges of once-in-a-century pandemic and Putin's war in Ukraine. Biden's remarks come as Americans are grappling with the worst inflation in 40 years, fueled by continuing surges in gas, food, and rent costs. Russia steps up its shelling of the port city of Odessa, which extends well beyond the territory of Russian forces' control. U.S. officials say the Russian advance in the south and east has been very slow as Ukrainian forces fight back. This comes as Congress is preparing to act on a more than $33 billion aid package to supply military and humanitarian support to Ukraine. That's a look at today's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Up next on KOAM News at noon, Prince Charles stands in for the Queen to open Parliament. We look at the latest health issues that are keeping the 96-year-old out of the public eye. And later, we're making pork chops with bacon onion marmalade in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen. For the first time in nearly 60 years, Britain's Queen Elizabeth has not attended the state opening of Parliament. As Holly Williams reports, the 96-year-old monarch pulled out of a number of public events recently because of health issues.
The state opening of Parliament proceeded this morning with all the pomp and circumstance that define this country's institutions.
In these challenging times, Her Majesty's government will play a leading role.
But in the Queen's place was her son and heir to the throne, Prince Charles, aided by his son, Prince William. The imperial state crown was there, but only the reigning monarch is allowed to wear it. The Queen continues to experience episodic mobility problems, said the palace in a statement, adding she'd reluctantly decided not to attend.
The risk is that the Queen is walking in the chamber and suddenly feels she has to stop. And that's not, she wouldn't want that. It's not dignified for her or for anybody else.
Opening Parliament is the monarch's constitutional duty.
My government will continue with its
She reads a speech written by the government outlining its legislative plans.
My government will seek...
The Queen's been doing it since she ascended the throne 70 years ago. The last time she missed the event was in 1963, when she was pregnant.
I think I might just put a knife in it.
The Queen recently celebrated her 96th birthday and appears in fine form for a woman of her age. But lately she's been seen using a walking stick, pulling out of several events. And the last 2 years haven't been easy. She lost her husband, Prince Philip, and has seen her son, Prince Andrew, engulfed in scandal. But stepping aside for Prince Charles is apparently not on the cards.
The Queen made a commitment when she was young and at her coronation that her job was for life.
So she's not going anywhere?
The Queen will not be going anywhere while she's still mentally able to do her job, no.
All eyes are now on the Queen's Jubilee next month, a 4-day celebration and a national holiday to mark her 7 decades on the throne, which will include a military parade, street parties and even a pop concert at Buckingham Palace. The question is to what extent she'll be able to take part. Holly Williams, CBS News, London.
Still to come on the KOAM News at noon, Mr. Food.
Was there one kitchen tool you remember your mom using more than any other when you were a kid? For me, it was the wooden spoon. And it wasn't just for stirring onion.
But first, Michael Hayslip returns with your complete forecast.
So oftentimes, and it really doesn't matter the season when we talk about warm temperatures, high winds, and the third portion of it being low humidity, elevated fire concerns. However, despite the fact that we're abnormally warm for this time of year and that wind barreling in from the south, as evident by Old Glory outside of Television City, we actually are the recipients of some humidity. Now, the flip side of that is when it gets this warm, that also creates a little difference between the temperature and what your body thinks it is outside. Look at that, 5-degree difference right now. 83 degrees over Joplin at 7th and Rangeline, but yet feeling like it's 88. However, since that humidity sits at 69%, that is why the elevated fire concerns stay way off all to the west through the panhandles and then in through western Kansas. So let's count ourselves lucky in that aspect of it. And another key factor, even though we have the cloud cover and we see the precipitable water ranging from the Gulf straight through us up to the Great Lakes, we do not have to worry about any rain. And that is a good thing because the closer and closer we get to the weekend, the better and better our flood warnings look. As a matter of fact, we have already been able to lift our flood warning for the Neosho River that we had yesterday in Ottawa County and northeast Oklahoma. So right now, the 2 warnings that we do have left, Osage and Little Osage. What that means is we take the Marmaton River off the board as well. So like I said, slowly but surely, we're getting there. Our focus so much has been upon record high temperatures. Magic number for today is going to be 91. That dates all the way back to 1963 at Joplin Regional Airport. Now, we're still 8 degrees short of that, and that is thanks in part to our cloud cover. We have been very fortunate in the central portion. I tell you what, not so fortunate when you kind of wrap around that horseshoe that we were talking about earlier. Imagine that cloud cover right through there, already 85 in Chanute and 81 in Monette. And those were actually out to the east, some of our cooler places this morning, Stockton chiming in at 86. Now there is that cloud cover. Tell you what though, it's going to be a far cry for us to break a record at Martin Johnson Airport in Chanute. That also dates back to 1963. But we would have to get all the way up to 94 degrees. So here's hoping we probably don't get that warm. Closest bout of rain ranging right now through the natural state, through central Arkansas, making its way up toward the boot heel. Not going to affect us as it will stay out far to the east. To look at the national perspective, we'll show you that all the thunderstorm activity really going to range right along the jet stream, especially up to the northwest of it. Get down the southeast portion of those arrows, and it is nothing but abnormal May warmth. We're still going to roll high 80s today. I'm not going to back off of that one. And then overnight, very, very similar to what we've had past couple of nights, clearing skies. But I think the real key factor is that wind finally dying down to 5 to 10 miles per hour. As we put Future Track into motion, those quick green dots that you see, those won't even be able to hit the ground. Left-hand portion of your screen, thunderstorm activity coming out of the panhandles. Watch this thing just break up right before it hits I-35. So we're clean and clear as can be. Great looking start tomorrow, very comfortable if you want to get out and get some fresh air early, or if you want to get some yard work done because we're finally starting to dry off, I would either do it early in the morning or later in the evening because we are throwing up a good amount of 90s just in time for Wednesday afternoon. Look at the 7-day forecast. After that, we got really 3 more days before we have to worry about rain. And Tanya, I want to point out that Friday may be our best bet to get activities done, particularly yard work. And here's why I want to point that out. Number one, not going to be as hot. Now that humidity is going to creep in, but it's not going to be as hot as it is Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Also too, if you like to get that yard mowed right before the evening rain, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Friday afternoon, evening, rains overnight into Saturday. Perfect timing.
Not a bad thought. I like what you're thinking.
You know my dream in life.
Yeah, like if you were to mow it today, it's just the grass is all gonna die before.
I want to mow grass. I want to run a golf course. And so yes, that is why I'm eyeballing Friday evening.
Okay.
That's what I'm going for.
There you heard it. All right, thanks, Michael. We take this time to honor today's four-state hero, Purple Heart recipient Eugene Mudd in the U.S. Army. The soldier from Erie, Kansas, joined the 84th Infantry Division in 1944. He fought in the European theater until 1945. To Private First Class Eugene Mudd, we thank you, our four-state hero. If you like pork chops, you're gonna love this easy weeknight dish. Today, Howard shows us how to make pork chops with bacon onion marmalade in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
You know, there were two utensils in the kitchen when I was a kid that I'll never forget. The first was the wooden spoon. If my brother and I didn't behave, out it came. You know, unfortunately, I remember it all too well. The other item was my mom's heavy-duty cast iron skillet. She would cook just about everything in it, including these pork chops. She would start by sauteing a large onion that she cut really thin in some butter. Once that was tender, she added some balsamic vinegar, brown sugar, and a bit of salt. After it thickened up, she stirred in some crumbled bacon. While all those flavors were coming together, in another skillet, she would saute some thick-cut pork chops, I mean really thick, that she would first dip into some milk and then into some seasoned flour. I think the reason they cooked so evenly was because the cast iron pan really held the heat. After the chops were cooked through, she would spoon the onion bacon marmalade over them, and dinner was ready. Talk about hearty and packed with flavor. To get this easy favorite, simply check out our website and search for pork chops with bacon onion marmalade. I'm Howard in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found an easy weeknight kind of way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
That looks tasty. You can find this recipe along with a lot more good food from the Mr. Food Test Kitchen online. Just go to our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Here's a look at our four-state market prices.
Still have a chance to break some record highs today, mainly Joplin Regional Airport, because remember, 94 is the magic number out in Chanute. We're not going to get that hot. But then we're going to keep up with Record Watch 2020 through Wednesday and Thursday before rain emerges Friday evening.
All right, what do we have coming up tonight at 5?
Well, at 5, about 1 in every 50 kids will develop obstructive sleep apnea. It's a condition that causes brief periods of stopped breathing during sleep. In Health Watch, we're going to look at what causes this sleep issue in kids. Plus, area law enforcement agencies come together to honor those who died in the line of duty. And a group of women leaders donates to a garage that gives back to the community. Hope you join us for those stories. A whole lot more, of course. It's all coming up today on KOAM News at 5.
All right, thank you, Dow. Thanks for joining us for KOAM News at noon. We'll see you right back here at 5 o'clock.